Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna talk about paper versus electronic devices for writing your stories and novels. Many people do one or the other, and other people do both. Me personally, I like doing both. I like writing on paper, usually first. That's where I usually do my first ideas and like character building. Sometimes I make drawings and stuff like that to go along with my story or the ideas that I have. It's good to have paper always available to you. Like, you don't have to have like a gigantic notebook. You can have like a little, pad of paper or like a little journal or something like that, because you never know when, an idea is gonna struck you. And yes, I know that all my electronic device friends out there are gonna be like, well, you can write on your phone, and that's actually accurate. Now you can write on basically all your electronic. You have your desktop, you have your laptop, then you have tablets and iPads and iPhones and Android phones and all kinds of phones that you can write in. But to keep in mind that those run out of battery, and maybe you are somewhere where you can charge it or you can plug it in right away, and something comes to you and you're like, oh, I must write it down, because you don't want to forget stuff that maybe are really cool and stuff like that, which has happened to me before. Also, talking about electronic devices, if you are lucky enough to have enough funds to get like everything from the same high quality place and stuff, then maybe you don't have the same issues as other people like me, because you might have different brand of tablet and laptop and all of that stuff, and not all of them have the same programs available to them or compatible, and that is super important for you to do and to know. Don't just start writing with whatever your device has. If you are wanting to keep working on it on another of your devices, like if you're writing on your phone, all of a sudden you got an idea and then you want to keep working on that at home on your laptop or on your desktop, you need to make sure that you run the same program through all your devices, because sometimes you write a whole bunch of stuff and then when you try to open it with your other program, it doesn't read it, or it's like it gets all corrupted and it's like, what? I didn't write millions of little nines and lines going all over the place. Where is my story? Obviously it's happened to me. And so make sure that you find a program that you can run through all your devices. That way you know that they'll be compatible with each other and you won't have that problem. A big thing for me is that I came from a time where I started writing that the computers weren't all that available. You couldn't write on your phone. There wasn't no tablets or anything like that. So if you wanted to write, you got a notebook, usually, a 25-cent notebook, and you start writing in it. As a result of that, though, I have so many freaking notebooks, which is a downside to writing on paper, is because you're going to be like boxes full of notebooks and papers and napkins and all sorts of crap. And when you do it in a device, then you just have everything in like this little place or in this little teeny tiny memory stick. Which brings me to the next point that I want to make. Is, pretty much it's my next step, is please remember to save as often as you can and in as many different places as you can, because there is nothing worse than you thinking that your stuff is safe and that it's out there. You work your butt off writing stuff, editing, formatting, doing all the crap you have to do to get published, and then you go and you look for something and your computer crashes and dies and everything was in your document. You take it to somebody and they're like, sorry, your hard drive is dead, there's nothing I can do, and you just want to kill the person and yourself. It's not good. I mean, you don't want to end up in jail, right? So maybe it's because I'm paranoid a little bit, but I save, like when I'm writing my story, I save it to my laptop, I save it to my Dropbox, which is kind of like the cloud, one of those storage places up in the air that the internet has now. If you guys know of any other besides the cloud or Dropbox, let me know below, because my Dropbox is about to explode with things on it and I don't really have money to buy more storage space and stuff. So if you guys know of any other, let me know. Oh, and I also have like a little tiny memory stick that is like this super tiny but it's like 32 gigs, pretty good. And I know they have bigger ones that are still, like super tiny when they're like 1 T or whatever. So I think I'm so paranoid because it happened to me one time that I have finished. I mean, this was like 10 years ago when I started thinking about I want to get published, and there was no ebooks back then or anything like that. So I knew that I had to make a story that was longer than 5,000 words. And back then I had a really hard time. I'm going to talk more about that as well when we talk about manuscript length and all that stuff. But anyways, I had this story that I was like, oh my gosh, it's 55,000 words. And the publisher I was looking to back then to send in my manuscript to accepted, works that were 55,000 and over. So I was super excited. And then things happened in my life and I couldn't continue with that. I had to get a job that took a lot from me, and I didn't have time to write or to do any editing, and I didn't have an editor. I didn't have any of that stuff that you need, which I'm also going to talk about in a different video. So I got really distracted and I was kind of depressed, so I didn't touch it anymore. But I was super excited the day I put the end on that thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I finished it. I told everybody that I knew. So years later, I get new laptops, there's new programs out, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take this story and I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna format it again and try to, I knew more about writing and the stuff that that you needed. So I was ready. I was like, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna work on this. So I go into my program, into my new laptop, and I look for my little disc. Well, back then it was like a disc. And I opened it, and there was nines and one and like a whole bunch of crap, and then some words, and then a bunch of crap, and then some words, and I was like, oh, what happened to my story? Oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. Of course, the program that I currently had back then, it was not the same program. It was much better than what I started working on, and it didn't read it. It didn't read the old program. It didn't work, and it had corrupted the file somehow. I was really upset. Then I was like, it's okay, because I think my other computer, I saved stuff to my documents, so I go to my old computer, and I get in there and I open the folder and I see it has like 35 chapters, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus, it's saved there. But surprise, surprise, half of those folders were empty. I had used a particular program that I don't know how it did things, but there was a folder for it, but the folders were empty. So I actually had like about 20,000 words saved. End of my story, the rest of my story, it was pretty much gone. I mean, I couldn't find it anywhere. It was so sad. I was so disappointed. I asked everybody. I was like, oh my gosh. I had sold an old computer to my sister where I had started working on that story, and I asked her, I was like, can you check to see if by any miracle I didn't erase stuff from there? She couldn't find it. It was devastating. So now I have that story that I still want to finish, but I felt so proud and I was so happy with the story the way I have done it the first time that it almost feels bad to me to try to go and make something else up, because I cannot remember how the story ended, how I finished it. Like, I remember little snippets here and there, but I don't remember the whole thing. It's really sad, and I would hate for you to go through something like that. So yeah, save a lot and in different places, so if one of your things get messed up, you have it somewhere else. Also, if you write on paper, make sure that you don't lose your paper, because then you'll be out of luck too. That's happened to me a couple of times. Also, I have just thrown the notebook somewhere and then I'm looking for it and I can't find it anywhere. Make sure that if you write on paper or if you write on your devices, that you know where the stuff is. Alright, I think that's all I have to say about paper versus devices. If you guys have any particular question that you want me to answer, please leave it in the comments below. So I hope that you come back next time when we're probably gonna be talking about word processing programs out there for the poor author, and other ones that are maybe not for the poor author. And I'm sure that you guys will have a lot to tell me about that, because I'm not that versed in it. So I think that's it. So long for now, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!